Mr. Secretary and General, thank you very much for your being here, and I'd like to associate myself with Senator Cruz's comments that I'm only regret being a first-year senator, secretary, and not be able to work with you, although I am in the process of hiring a legislative assistant for this committee. So if you go back to California and get nostalgic for Washington, let me know, will you? I somehow think that's rather unlikely.
Been there, done that.
I want to follow up on a question from Senator McCain. The Crete base, I don't know the capacity, but given that was pretty close in terms of transportation time, why was that not an option to get people there faster? Was it a question of who and what is at the Crete base? General Dempsey.
The bases that we have in Southern Europe, in the Mediterranean area, are, generally speaking, have aircraft. The first point I made is that it wasn't the right tool for the particular threat we faced. Secondly, the aircraft we have in Europe generally are there in support of NATO and on a different alert posture. That was not among the forces. The aircraft were not among the forces that we had at heightened alert. The heightened alert related to these boots-on-the-ground capabilities that could preemptively get into an embassy or into a compound to thicken its defenses if we had reason to do so.
And those types of troops were not at the Crete base at the time of this
No.
incident. Now, to follow up, you talk about everybody wants a fire station next door. It doesn't work. On the other hand, in this case, as you testified, there was about a 13 to 15-hour practical limitation. I gather since this incident, you're trying to shorten that. Do you have a target? What would we like to be able to do, particularly in these hot spots, which we can identify in advance?
Yeah, well, we're not done making adaptations, but what we did initially was take these CIFs, the Commanders in Extremis Forces, and the FASTs, and the standard had generally been N+6, notification +6 to liftoff plus transit time. So we can reduce the alert posture, and we do so, watching not only intelligence, but also watching things like the social media, because sometimes these events crop up out of the social media, believe it or not. And secondly then, but you still can't reduce the transit time. That is the limiting factor in AFRICOM in particular. When I say we're not done making adaptations, we've asked each of the services to examine their capability to build additional reaction-like forces, small, rapidly deployable forces, a small MAGTAF for the Marine Corps, for example, Marine Air Ground Task Force, and the Army's looking at some options as well to increase the number of these resources across the globe. Where the limiting factor, though, will always be basing, especially in AFRICOM.
So you are moving the fire stations nearer the...
We're trying to build more firemen. The question is whether I can build the stations to house them.
Okay, I got it. Secretary Panetta, a question that doesn't really relate to today's discussion, but you're in a unique position. This committee is, as you know, considering a nominee to be your successor, Senator Hagel, and later today I'm going to be at a hearing of the Intelligence Committee talking to John Brennan. Could you give a brief assessment of those two gentlemen and their capabilities and readiness to assume these important positions?
Yes, I mean, obviously that's something that the committees now have the opportunity to evaluate. But in my view, both of them are outstanding individuals that have a great deal of experience and capability to be able to perform in an outstanding fashion in each of their jobs. Senator Hagel is someone who, served in the military, worked up here on the Hill, understands the issues that are involved there, and I think can be a very effective leader at the Pentagon. John Brennan is somebody I work with as director of the CIA and continue to work with in this capacity, and I always found him to be very responsible about how we can effectively conduct operations against Al-Qaeda and against those that would attack this country. He is, as somebody said, a straight shooter, somebody who gives you his best opinion. He doesn't play games. He's someone who I think can really honestly represent the best protection of this country in that job.
Thank you very much. And I also want to thank you for your forthright comments today about the sequester. Ironically, as I've taken some notes on what you've said and what you said in your statement, it appears that as of today, the greatest threat to American national security is the United States Congress. Thank you, Mr. Secretary.